So one of the concepts they tell us in yoga is about our diet, and they recommend that we give up certain foods to have a better yoga practice. And some of those are things like onions and garlic and meat and fish. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the dietary restrictions.
Yes. Again, this is where yoga and Ayurveda really help each other out so much, because in Ayurveda, the diet is not the restriction in Ayurveda is different, because in Ayurveda we're thinking of the constitution. Yeah, if you're a Vata person or a Pitta person or a Kapha person or a dual doshic, you look at a diet in that way. What would support that constitution? In yoga, we're looking at more building a sattvic diet, yeah, a sattvic and vegetarian diet. In the beginning of one's practice, one's introduction to Ayurveda, they may not necessarily be a vegetarian. But what Ayurveda shows them is what you're presently eating, look at those things. Suppose you're eating meat. Look at that and see what is the best for you, for your constitution. And when you eat what is in harmony with your constitution, something very interesting happens. And that is the natural intelligence in you starts to waken up. Blockages are removed. Your prana is flowing better. And when your prana is flowing in harmony with your being, then intuition wakens up. And you start to know and see and feel that the eating from violence is not the best thing for you. You start to understand that on a very deep level. And in other words, your mind stuff is starting to change into a more sattvic nature, and your choices become different. So you see how gradually you're coming from wherever you are into the yogic mode. And now your diet can be sattvic. Yeah? So now we're in this area of yoga where we're giving ideas of instructions. Diet should be sattvic. And people coming outside will think, well, garlic is great medicine. Why can't I have garlic? So yoga doesn't say right away, don't have garlic. What it says, look at yourself, study yourself, know yourself. If you're ill and if garlic is a medicine, yes. Everything in this world is useful. And if you need to use it as medicine, it's okay. Yeah? But just for the sake of taste, it's not a good enough reason. Besides, garlic is considered very rajasic, also tamasic. Yeah, it's very rajasic in that it awakens, it disturbs the sensual balance, and we become very agitated. It's not conducive to meditation. And so yoga will say, leave these foods that are going to cause more and more vacillation in the mind, more and more restlessness, that will be promoting passions. When one eats garlic, it brings the anger, vrittis, up very easily, because it's heating, it's hot, it's fiery. And so it brings those things, we add that to our being, especially if you're a Pitta person, and it starts to inflame the being. And yes, too, garlic is a great medicine and has really great potencies. And this is illustrated very beautifully in one of our stories. There's a time when the demons and the gods, wanted this nectar of immortality. Now, we know demons and gods don't get together. They're always enemies fighting. But just like in ordinary life, we can find ourselves coming together when we have a common goal. We can bring people together if they may have different opinions, even though we might be fighting with each other, but if they have a common goal, especially with something really beautiful, like nectar of immortality, they can come together and work for it. So yes, the gods and demons came together, and the project was to churn the ocean of milk in order to bring about this nectar of immortality. It was a very big job. They couldn't quite accomplish it by themselves, so Lord Vishnu helped them out. He became the tortoise that sat at the base, at the bottom of the mountain, and the Mount Meru was made as a churning rod, and this great snake Ananta which symbolizes time, was made to be the rope for churning. So gods and goddesses, gods and demons on both ends, like I say, the demons on one side, the gods on the other, they start churning. And as they're churning, many different things were coming up. It's that when actions are performed, results come about. So here they were performing a very tremendous action. We can liken it to sadhana. And the gifts were coming up. Many like gems and precious things came out of it. Lakshmi came out of it. And Dhanvantari came out with his nectar of immortality. I like to digress a little bit to say when Lakshmi came out, because I'm looking at a picture of the Divine Mother there. When Lakshmi came out, she was so beautiful, so enchanting, that all the Rakshasas and everyone became very entranced by her. And she looked at everyone, and she saw everyone wanted her. They were all, like grabbing at her, even though it was mentally. And the nature of Lakshmi is such that she doesn't want to be possessed. Then she saw Lord Vishnu, and she went over and saw that to be her place, because Lord Vishnu had no desire. And so in his desirelessness, she was free. And this is something we need to look at in our life. We're always running after wealth. Lakshmi symbolizes that wealth. And the more we run after it, the more she's running away. But this is a little bit away from garlic and onions. Anyhow, back to garlic. So when Lord Dhanvantari came out with this nectar, this goblet of nectar of immortality, both the gods and the demons, on seeing this, became, wow, wonderful. But right away the idea of, well, if the gods get it, the demons are saying, we'll be doomed. And the gods are saying, if the demons get it, we will be doomed. So right away, all their old ideas about themselves, their ego came up again. They forgot about their working together. And so they start pursuing Lord Dhanvantari for this nectar of immortality. And while they were doing this, Lord Dhanvantari was trying to evade them. And while they were rushing across, we have to imagine this beautiful rushing and up in the celestial heavens of these celestial beings trying to get this goblet. And as they were doing this, a few drops fell on earth. And from those droplets came the garlic plant. Now, it sounds like a very fantastic story that, just nonsense. But it's not. It's very deep, deep yogic wisdom. And this is how teachings were done in ancient times. In this way, children can enjoy the story, ordinary people can understand the story, and the masters, they weave the wisdom in those stories. So what happened is that this nectar, having been the result of intense sadhana and having those great divine potencies, but at the moment it was being clouded by the greediness of these different beings that were running after it. So when it fell and it gave birth to the plant, that plant had both the qualities, the rajasic qualities and the sattvic qualities hidden very deep inside. So when we know that and we take it at the right time, those sattvic qualities of healing can come about. And again, to go back to the story, it's very, very beautiful and significant, because the turtle, this incarnation of Lord Vishnu, symbolizing he's the support of all of our activities. Or when he's made the support of our activities, then they can become very fruitful. The Mount Meru, this very huge mass, symbolizes the spinal column within an individual that holds so much energy and potential. The snake represented time, and through time we have within us both gods and demons, and at times they can be working together, at times they're not, but it depends upon our will how we're using that. And so in the same way, we're working in ourselves, yielding different qualities And when we understand that, and we know how we're moving through this world, the world that is within ourselves. So there is great yogic wisdom in a story like this. But then you can tell it to your child and it becomes very fascinating. But later on in life he remembers this, oh wow, that's what it meant. And then it becomes a story for introspection. So I think that's a nice story.